Is it cancel culture, government-sponsored censorship, or both, or neither? And money and marriage, we're going to get into it. Let's get it. Welcome. First of all, welcome. This is Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, here to lead the conversation in important events and topics that are shaping today's society. Join the conversation and follow us wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for our video podcast, YouTube exclusive content, and our YouTube membership. Rate, review, like, comment, share. Share with your friends, share with your family, hell, even share with your enemies. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the First Amendment, going to be talking about marriage and money, and then in the last segment, me and my sister are going to give you a sneak peek of the After Hours Uncensored. Parental discretion is advised. But that's enough of the intro. Let's get to the show. You know, I've made this analogy before. I've said it over and over and over and over again. That I would keep hammering it home until it is forced into everybody's brain and they understand why it's okay to criticize the government in the United States, and that in and of itself does not make you not a patriot or not an American citizen or not somebody that's proud of your country. When you have a family member that's a little jacked up, you love them. Not even a family member, say it's a loved one, a friend or whatever. You know they have flaws. You love them, but you can openly admit that they have flaws. There's this attack on the right that anytime you criticize America, you're not a patriot. That's what they love to say. You're not an American citizen. You need to get the hell out of the country. But at the same time, the right has been criticizing the country at the same time. That's what the whole slogan, Make America Great Again is. You wouldn't have to make America great again if you thought America was already great. Therefore, their slogan inherently says America ain't great, which would be a criticism of America, something that they say makes you not a patriot. Why am I talking about all this? Why is it important? Some things are happening with the administration. I mean, a lot of things are happening with the administration, right? You know, Project 2025, they're like 65% through with it. And we're only 8-9 months into this administration. And we told you that they were going to use Project 2025, but you didn't want to listen. Those people out there that didn't want to believe us, y'all were hard-headed. Guess what? Hard head make a soft behind. That's what my mom and dad used to say. And now your ass is getting spanked because you thought that these things that we were telling you were going to happen were going to apply to you. But this administration is pushing hard on something that is fundamental. The First Amendment that is core to our country and our democracy and our Constitution. They praise the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms, which I still feel like they don't completely understand, but they damn sure, a lot of people do not understand what the First Amendment is. You hear people out on the street all the time talking about, you know, you can't suppress my speech. I have a right to free speech. And everybody has a right to free speech. Everybody has a right to say what the hell they want to say. That doesn't mean that you don't suffer consequences. So what is the First Amendment? Because I feel like people say, you know, it's the right to free speech, but it's actually more than that. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution prohibits Congress from making laws that would establish a national religion, impede free exercise of religion, abridge the freedom of speech, infringe upon the freedom of the press, interfere with the right to peacefully assemble, and or prevent people from petitioning the government to address grievances. So what does that all mean? How can I break that down? Because if I gave you guys the exact wording, which I have, right? The exact wording is Congress shall make no law respecting an establish of a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right for the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for redress or grievances. What does this all mean? It means that people had the right to practice the religion, whatever religion that they want to practice. Scientology became a religion and people are allowed to practice it. You're allowed to do that, right? Also, the theory that a lot of people on the right are saying this country is built on Christian principles. It's literally in the Constitution. There will not be a national religion. Now, I was talking to friends of mine who are Jewish, and they are often talking about, yeah, I don't understand this war on Christmas. And I say the same thing. I don't understand the war on Christmas. There is no war on Christmas. People already started. We're not even in October yet. The Halloween stuff has been out. Thanksgiving is going to come out. As soon as Halloween is over, Christmas stuff is going to come out. Christmas is a celebration in the United States from November through January. There is no war on Christianity, but what there will not be based on the First Amendment, is that there will be a national religion, much like there isn't a national language for the United States. I know a lot of people like to say, well, we speak English, and predominantly we speak English, but there is no national language. It is not law that the national language is English in the United States. Now, they're trying to change it, just like they changed the Gulf of Mexico. But for your lifetime, there has never been a national language for the United States. Hasn't been. Just because it's a predominant language that is spoken in this country does not mean it's been designated as the language of this country, because it has not. Also, the First Amendment, and what I'm really focusing on, is the right to free speech. Now, I said earlier, everybody is allowed to say what they want within reason. And just because you're allowed to say what you want doesn't mean that they don't have consequences. What the First Amendment says is that you can say what you want, but the government can't interfere or punish you for saying what you want. The government. A lot of people are like, I got fired from my job because I said this on Instagram. Yeah, there are moral clauses that you typically have in your company when you sign your employee agreement. Okay. A company can fire you for what you say. That's not infringing on your First Amendment right, unless you work for the government or the government is specifically pointing out to you and putting pressure on your employer to fire you. Then that would be an infringement of your First Amendment. This is Civics 101, ladies and gentlemen. We all learned this stuff in high school. Okay, it is really simple. It's in black and white, but a lot of people don't understand it because a lot of people don't take the time to really read and examine. Well, because a lot of people don't have great reading comprehension, but that's another story. Okay, but once again, why am I talking about the First Amendment? Why am I talking about the idea that the government shouldn't be interfering in what you say? What's been happening recently that would make me talk about this? Well, Jimmy Kimmel show just got suspended and Stephen Colbert show wasn't renewed. I'm going to get into that to a minute, but I want to once again establish the core principles of the First Amendment. It is to protect the freedoms of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. Okay? It originally only applied to Congress, but later applied to all levels of the government through the 14th Amendment. Places limits only on the government, not on private individuals or organizations, and establishes a foundation for American civil liberties and democratic practices. I've already given you the examples. A job can fire you for what you say. Unless that job is in the government, they can't fire you for what you say, right? And a government can't put pressure on whatever company that you work for to fire you for what you say. So back to Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel. Both really good late night talk show hosts. One recently suspended, one removed altogether. Jimmy Kimmel recently suspended. Colbert, and I'm going to mess up. It's Colbert, but I like saying Colbert. I don't know why, but it just happens. So just roll with it. His contract wasn't renewed. And this is all coming from political pressure on Trump. Now, I know a lot of people out there are going to say, but Bruce, you just said that a private company can fire you for what you say and do. And you're absolutely right. A private company. But if you were listening, I also said that a government can't pressure a private company, public company, a company to fire employees based on what they said. So keep up with this. So these suspensions and firings are raising widespread concern among free speech advocates, Hollywood figures, and First Amendment scholars. The controversy originated when Kimmel made a critical remark about a political fallout from the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Soon after, the Trump-appointed FCC chair openly threatened ABC with regulatory action if he didn't suspend Kimmel. Now, he didn't quite say, you got to suspend Kimmel. What his words were is, that's not right. And we can either do this the easy way or the hard way. And Ted Cruz, surprisingly, going against the administration, saying that this is an attack on the First Amendment, right? One of the reasons why he would do it is because he's descendants of Cuban refugees, and he understands this is the first sign of authoritative actions. He should have seen this throughout the full 2025, but now his eyes are open and he's actively questioning the administration's pressure for trying to get, or for successfully getting, Colbert off the air, and then Jimmy Kimmel suspended indefinitely. So Stephen Colbert was the contract was renewed. And the decision was met with skepticism within the company and interpreted by Colbert and many observers as capitulation to political pressure and tactics by the administration, right? He has come out and said it because he is very critical of Trump and the administration. I'll explain why the idea that CBS let him go for other reasons besides political pressure later, but I want to focus solely on how these two late night talk show hosts were taken off the air. So Jimmy Kimmel, like I said, was suspended mere hours after the FCC chair Brandon Carr made veiled threats of regulatory consequences over comments Kimmel made criticizing Trump supporters' responses to Kirk killing. So what did Jimmy Kimmel do? Jimmy Kimmel basically said that the administration and Trump supporters, the MAGA movement, are trying to move heaven and earth to point to not a fact, but try to make a fact that the shooter of Charlie Kirk, the assassin of Charlie Kirk, is somehow associated with left-wing ideology, left-wing factions, what have you. So much so that before they had even caught the shooter, they had already started talking about transgender. They're still trying to push this transgender narrative, trying to make a connection. And me and my sister talked about it off the air, but I'll bring this up here. If I get canceled, so be it. After the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and it was an assassination, it was a political assassination. However you feel about the person, it was a political assassination. After the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the right was so upset, they started threatening HBCUs. Now, there were already pictures out of the shooter. There was already a manhunt of the shooter. Was not a black person, was not a person of color. Why are they attacking black people for what is essentially a white on white crime? So understanding that narrative, that the people that were extremely hurt because of the assassination, we're going to attack anybody that is opposite of them, even when those people had nothing to do with it. Jimmy Kimmel was simply pointing out the fact that they are trying their hardest to maneuver that this killer, this assassin, was in fact part of a left-wing movement and conspiracy and part of a Democratic Party, even though he grew up Republican, conservative, and a MAGA house. I don't know how you make those connections, but that's what he said. So because of that, not attacking Charlie Kirk, not even bringing up Charlie Kirk's past and things that he said. What he said was, yo, this administration's bending over backwards to try and pin the assassin as somebody from the left. That's essentially what he said. And because of that, his show got taken off the air because Trump and the head of the FCC were saying, well, you can't do that. You can't say that. You can't say that. This is a free country. Once again, the First Amendment is a free country. And Trump publicly applauded both Kimmel and Colbert's ousters and suggested that networks airing anti-Trump comedy should have their government-granted broadcast licenses revoked, calling the criticisms not allowed and threatening further action through the FCC. Did y'all hear what I said? This is literally the president of the United States, the main government official, trying to silence public speech through threats of broadcast licenses for anything that's anti-Trump comedy, saying it's not allowed. It's a president saying that people are not allowed to make fun of him. That's what the president is saying. Now, I don't know how long you guys been alive, but as long as I can remember, there have always been talk show hosts, comedians making fun of every president that's ever existed. Nobody's been exempt. Nobody. SNL, they've made fun of Republican presidents. They've made fun of Democratic presidents. Nobody is off limits. Why does this person think that they're so special that it's not allowed? Okay. Media experts and the ACLU have warned that such government threats, particularly when networks change their programming under clear pressure from officials, represent a serious danger to the First Amendment right to free speech, even if technically no law was enacted. Former President Barack Obama, comedians, and multiple journalists described the combination of government threats and corporate compliance as government coercion and a dangerous precedent for American democracy. All right, so what are some of the legal and cultural aspects of what's going on here? This is a history lesson. And I know typically I don't start off the show like this. Typically I leave this for the middle, but it pissed me off. And it pissed me off because you literally have people on Fox News saying that homeless should get lethal injection. And then they gave a mere apology. That's okay. But saying, hey, why are y'all so intent on trying to make the assassin some part of some left-wing conspiracy plot? That's not allowed because, like Trump said, anti-Trump comedy is not allowed. So the legal and cultural aspects of this, while the First Amendment prohibits direct government censorship, coordinated pressure, including threats of license revocation from the FCC, can have a chilling effect, essentially curtailing free expression through intimidation rather through statute. Civil rights organizations, Hollywood unions, and public figures have pushed back against what they see as blatant censorship and breaking of long-standing American tradition that comedians, journalists, and artists can criticize those in power without fear of state retaliation. Industry insiders have noted that these moves may embolden executives to more readily comply with government wishes, fearing regulatory or financial retribution, thus shrinking the space for dissenting voices on mainstream media. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. In Russia, they have state-sponsored news. They tell the people what they want them to know. And I'm sure a lot of people out there, well, that's what the mainstream media does. Here's what the mainstream media does. The mainstream media gives you wide variety of sometimes biased reporting that you can listen to all of it, use your critical thinking skills, and figure out what's going on if you want to be unbiased and informed. However, if it becomes Russia, we only get the information that the government deems worthy for us to receive. Now, I'm not almost completely opposed to that because some of y'all are dumb and don't need all the information because you take all the information and come up with idiotic logic because you don't have critical thinking skills. You can't be unbiased in your thinking. And it leads you to try to draw circles to make sure that you're right, not correct, that you're right. But I don't really believe in the state-sponsored media because then when do we get our say? How can we be heard? The government is deciding what we can say and what we can't hear. Okay, but the question then becomes, what about these other arguments? What about the arguments that the shows have low ratings or that the broadcasting networks are just protecting themselves based on mergers that they got going on? Because that's what's really going on. These multi-billion-dollar broadcasting companies got billion-dollar mergers that are happening that they must get FCC approval to do. So broadcasting networks like CBS and ABC have publicly cited low ratings, financial concerns, and a need to protect corporate interests during large mergers as the reasons behind suspending or canceling the Steve Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel shows. But these explanations are hotly debated and often viewed as incomplete or strategic in the broader context. So let's talk about the ratings and financial arguments. Networks pointed out to declining viewership and reduced advertising revenue for the late night television since the pandemic as a justification, with CBS claiming Colbert's show was losing tens of millions of dollars a year, while Trump is also echoing this defense by attributing the cancellations to bad ratings and a lack of talent. Stephen Colbert is a lack of talent. Okay. However, Colbert's show continued to outperform competitors in the same time slot, and some critics argued that the show's losses were neither new nor apparently urgent, suggesting financial issues alone don't fully explain the timing or manner of the cancellation. So, you ever work for a company and they know that they need to fire somebody? For whatever reason, maybe they don't like his attitude or something, and legally they can't fire him. They have to come up with some type of lame justification. I've done it. I won't say who because I'm not trying to get sued. Actually, I haven't done it. Now that I think about it, legally, I have not done it. I found legal reasons to absolutely terminate people. But there are companies out there who have to try and terminate people and they can't find, if they try to do it, they'll do it illegally. So they'll come up with ways in which that they can fire somebody. And typically it's complete and utter bullshit. This is another example of complete and utter bullshit. All right, this is just example, but let's get to the real reason why all this is happening. The timing of the cancellations and suspensions align closely with major media mergers. Paramount's $8 billion merger with Skydance and Nexstar, and Nexstar's $6.2 billion acquisition of Tonga, both requiring FCC approval under Trump-appointed chair Brandon Carr, the same Brandon Carr that said that we're going to do this the easy way or the hard way. Both networks and parent companies face heightened political scrutiny from regulators, leading to widespread speculation that the firings were motivated, at least in part, by the desire to comply with the administration's preferences and secure regulatory approval for these critical deals. In the case of Kimmel, Nexstar, a major ABC affiliate group seeking a merger that would greatly expand its national footprint, pulled its show within hours of the SEC's chair's threats, and more widely seen as a calculated to minimize the risks and appease regulators. While financial and rating justifications are part of a standard corporate responses from all of these companies based on getting rid of Colbert and taking Jimmy Kimmel off the air, many of the media analysts and First Amendment advocates argue that these factors are being used as a cover for political motivated self-censorship, especially given the intense pressure placed by federal government during sensitive merger proceedings. Critics highlight that protecting a merger or acquisition process by accommodating political demands is substantially different from ordinary business decisions about underperforming shows, raising red flags about the role of government in shaping the media. This is about money, and not about the money that supposedly these shows are costing the company. It's about these mergers, and these mergers can't happen without government approval. And you got the FCC chair saying, you need to take this person off the air. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. What's the hard way? Rejecting the regulations and the licenses so that these mergers, billion-dollar mergers, can't happen. It's a lot of power for a person. And let's deal with that aspect. It's a government official directing a company that needs government approval to merge with another company. And this government official is saying, you can't merge, or we're going to make it extremely difficult unless you take this person off the air because we don't like what he says. That is an infringement on your First Amendment. Clear, black and white. And for anybody that's trying to make an excuse by saying, no, it isn't, or they do not care because who cares about Jimmy Kimmel and Steve Colbert? I don't like what they have to say anyway. I pose these three questions at you. If power can chill jokes from the nation's biggest stages, who will protect the rest of us when our voices don't fit the script? If the price of corporate survival is silence, how far are you willing to let America drift from its founding ideals? And in the end, maybe the real danger isn't who's off the air, but whether we notice or care when voices go missing. All right. I know. I typically don't start off the show like that. That was heavy. It was heavy, but it was real. Just want to get you people to think out there. You know, so much of our thought processes are riding for the team. Everything that we do is tribal. And it's like, well, my team has to win. Who gives a damn if America loses? That's just real. But speaking of being divided, I came across this Reddit story. So I'm going to lighten the mood. I came across this Reddit story that I thought was really interesting. It's 4 parts. I'm going to let a person read this instead of me reading it. And I'm going to give my reaction after each part because I think that this is a really interesting story. And it's important for us to really give thought when we make a decision to get married. I was telling a friend the other day that the most important decisions that you can have in order when you decide to have a partner, get married, what have you, the most important decision is whether or not to bring in a child into this relationship, because you are stuck together for the rest of that child's life or children's lives or your natural life. Y'all are stuck together forever. So that's the most important decision. The second decision is marriage. And you say, well, Bruce, why is marriage the second decision? Because you can get married, get divorced, and never have to deal with the person ever again. Case in point, my marriage. I have not spoken to my ex-wife since we decided to get divorced. And that was over a decade ago. You can get divorced when you don't have children and never speak to the person ever again. You can have a complete severing of that relationship. You can't do that with children. So marriage, deciding the life with your partner is extremely important. And so this couple is getting married, and I'm going to let this person read the title, but it's Am I the Jerk? My fiance told me this is it, take it or leave it. So I gave him his ring back and told him to get out of my house. And like I said, I'm going to do this in 4 parts and then give my, responses to it.
Am I the jerk? My fiance told me, this is it, take it or leave it. So I gave him the ring back and told him to get out of my house. My fiance, Tom, a 37-year-old male, and I, 28-year-old female, have been together 2 years. He moved into my house 6 months ago and proposed a month ago. I thought we were solid, but now I'm questioning everything. I inherited a fortune 3 years ago. It changed my life, but I live below my means. I work part-time as a teacher, travel, and have a nonprofit in the works. I budget carefully so the money lasts. Only my dad and sister know the full amount. When Tom moved in, I paid for everything except most groceries. He wanted us to eventually buy a bigger house together so his dad could move in. I said no to living with in-laws, but suggested maybe a separate unit someday. He pushed back but agreed we needed to discuss finances first. Tom earns $10,000 a month and has $100,000 saved. I have millions invested and about $40,000 a month income from it. When I told him, he was shocked. He said if I have so much, why not just buy the house and cover everything? I explained that just because I can doesn't mean I should. I proposed separate finances, a joint account for expenses, and splitting costs proportionally to income. I also told him I wanted a prenup. That's when things blew up. He argued we should be equal partners, meaning I buy the house in both our names even if he doesn't contribute. We fought about this for days. Eventually, he gave me an ultimatum. Final offer. You buy the house, we each own 50%, I'll sign the prenup, take it or leave it. I asked if that meant breaking up if I said no. He hesitated but said yes. So I left it. I took off the ring, told him it was over, and that he needed to move out. He backtracked, saying he didn't really want to end things. Just wanted me to agree. He accused me of throwing away our relationship for money. I told him he threw it away by demanding I fund our life and give him half of the assets I work to protect. Now I'm wondering if I sabotaged my relationship. I love him, but I don't think it's fair to bankroll a grown man or accept ultimatums about my own money.
Wow. Okay. So a lot to unpack here. They've been together for a little minute. He found out she got some bread, which that's every man's dream. I'm looking for that. Ladies out there. If you got a situation like this, lady, I'm not going to ask for your money. I just ask to be a part of your life. But no, seriously, look, money is the root of all evil. Money is the reason a lot of relationships get severed. Romantic, family, friends. It's a big issue. What my man is asking for is ridiculous. That's her money. That's her money. Y'all want to get a house? Y'all go in together. You don't demand that she buy a house and put your name on it. I dated a woman that had her own house. We were serious. I dated actually several women that had their own homes. We were serious. We talked about what those financial situations would be. I said, hey, look, if we ever got together like that and you wanted me to move into your place, I'm not going to ask to be put on your mortgage. That's yours before I got here. All I would ask is that we have some type of rental agreement where I pay part of the mortgage because I live here, whether it's half or part or whatever we decide. And that if something were to happen, that I would be given, a reasonable amount of time to move out and get a place of my own, whether that's 60 or 90 days or what have you. But what's yours is yours. And what's mine is mine. I believe very firmly that you need to sign a prenup. Get you a prenup. You need to protect your stuff so that it doesn't get taken away from you in divorce. And yes, nobody walks into a marriage thinking that they're going to get divorced, but it's a strong possibility. it's more than a minor possibility. It's a strong possibility. So you want to protect yourself financially. I'm not talking about in the marriage what y'all built together. I'm talking about what you come in beforehand. Right now, this dude is ridiculous for asking her to put up more than he's willing to put up just because she got more bread than him. And he ain't short on bread. He's making $10K a month and he got $100K saved. They can get a good home together with them being equal in their buying of the house. So he want to act like, and what's toxic? What's toxic is him threatening, take it or leave it, final offer. And then her saying, "Was this mean that, we're not going to be together?" And he was like, "Well, I don't know. I just want you to agree to this." Agree to what? Agree to funding your life? He already live in a house and he only pay for groceries. He ain't even helping with the bills and he got bread. That's the reason why he got 100K saved up, because he ain't doing nothing to help her out. Man, look, I'm starting to get agitated. Let's hear the second part.
Hey guys, this is an update to what happened. When he moved in, I offered to keep covering the utilities, since I was already paying them, and he would handle groceries. Things were fine until after we got engaged. I pushed for us to discuss everything openly before marriage, and we agreed on most things. About his father moving in, this isn't something he wants right away, but he says eventually his dad would move in so he can take care of him. I adore his father, but I personally don't want to live with in-laws. His solution was that we should buy another house together, so he would feel like it's our home instead of him living in my house. I understood that perspective, but the new house would also have to be larger if his dad were to move in, which I'm not comfortable with. About finances. Initially, when we discussed buying another house, the plan was to contribute together. But once we started looking at what we could afford, we had to lay our finances on the table. When he found out my net worth, everything shifted. He said that if we split 50-50, we couldn't afford a bigger house, and since I had the means, I should buy the house myself. But it would still be our house. I told him that whatever amount he contributes would equal his share of equity in the property. Maybe I was naive, but until this point, I never saw signs of him being a gold digger. He never pressured me to pay for things and always split expenses fairly. That's why this change has been such a shock. Right now, I'm locked in my bedroom, and I told him he can sleep in the guest room tonight, but that he needs to move out tomorrow. We haven't spoken since. That's where things stand. Thank you all so much for the support and comments. It means a lot. And just to clarify, this is a throwaway account I created for privacy reasons.
Okay. I mean, it's good that you have a throwaway account for privacy reasons. And a lot of people were in the comment section giving her, good comments and giving her support. Uh, I can't stress it enough. Yeah, no, he's asking for unreasonable things. And the only reason why they want a bigger house is because he realizes that they can afford a bigger house because of her money, and that he wants to have his father move in, and she's like, I don't really want that. Look, the idea, if he wants a bigger house and he's like, yo, can we get a bigger house? And then what I put in, it just equals that equity. So say I put in 30%, I had 30% equity in the house. She's saying that she's cool with that. But he's insisting upon, no, this is going to be, you put in more, or buy the thing outright since you got the bread. And then, put me on there. Just put me on there as 50-50. And she's done really well for herself. She got that inheritance and was like, look, I'm going to manage my money right. Got a little teaching job, going to starting herself a little nonprofit. She want to help the community, with the blessings that she's gotten, and seemed like a good woman. Hey, I don't know how this is going to turn out because we still got part 3 and 4, but ma'am, I don't know what you look like, but I can look past all of that and just let you know I'm not a gold digger. I don't need to get 50-50. I don't. Just putting that out there. Anyway, so far, homeboy ain't looking good. Maybe things get better in part 3 or 4.
Hey guys, final update. This morning I woke up and Tom had made breakfast and asked if we could talk. He said things got out of control last night and he wanted to explain his side. He told me he was upset that I'd lied about my finances and felt like I didn't trust him. He said the money difference made him feel that I would always have more power in the relationship and that he might be vulnerable to financial abuse. He insisted that he wasn't interested in my money but wanted to feel that I would choose him over money. He admitted that he handled things badly and should never have reacted the way he did or given me an ultimatum. He said he felt lost and frustrated. The only thing he emphasized really matters to him is his father eventually moving in. They're very close, and he wants to take care of him as he gets older. He apologized, said he didn't want to lose me, and told me he was willing to accept my conditions. I apologized for not being upfront about my inheritance, but I also told him I wasn't sure I could continue the relationship. His reaction last night felt entitled and manipulative, and I'm afraid he was showing me who he really is. I told him I love him, but I'm worried money will always be an issue between us. If he's already pushing for a house before marriage, what else might he push for later? I explained that the only way I could even consider continuing is if he agreed to a bulletproof prenup stating that in case of divorce, he only leaves with what he contributed, nothing more, agreeing to buy a house together, but his equity would reflect his contribution only. I also suggested options like a guest house for his father or a condo nearby, but not living directly with us. Creating a monthly budget where we both contribute proportionally to our incomes into a joint account for shared expenses, while keeping our separate accounts for personal money. Going to counseling together. He agreed to all of this. Still, I told him I don't know if I can trust him again and need time to think. He agreed to go stay in a hotel for a few days to give us both space. Right now, I honestly don't know what to do. Part of me sees his point and wonders if he just overreacted. But another part of me is afraid that if I ignore his behavior, I'll be setting myself up for bigger problems in the future.
Hmm. If he had a history of showing LDE, that's little dick energy, which is what this is, right? He felt emasculated because she has more money than him, which is, something that men, I I don't know what's wrong with y'all, deal with. I have no problem with a woman having a better career, being more intelligent, or having more money than me. Like, I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm secure in myself. I big up them. Me and my sister got into a debate yesterday because I let an old friend re-enter my life, and she was like, "It's always ended badly. Why have you let them in?" And I was like, "I legitimately admire this person. And for people that I admire, I kind of want them in my life." Now, I have this huge compassion issue, which is me, but I don't look at people sideways just because they got a little bit more bread than me or doing a little bit better than me. Big ups to you. I want to see you win if you're the right person. I don't want to see Trump win, but I want to see people like if you're a good person, I want to see you win. And if you my significant other, I really, really want to see you win. Now, if it's an isolated incident, I would say you are already planning on marrying this person. And when you marry somebody, these people have flaws. And when you marry somebody, they're going to show you their ugly side. You're going to have to decide if that's an ugly side that you can deal with. Everybody's got an ugly side. Everybody will lose it and say or do things that's outside of their character. I've always said anybody is capable of anything given the right circumstances. If it's an isolated incident, you don't judge them on that, right? If this person has always told you the truth and then they tell you a lie, even if it's a big lie, it doesn't mean that they automatically gain their trust back. But this one mistake shouldn't erase everything that's good as far as you looking at them, how you look at them as a person. Maybe it's dissolved the relationship or eroded the relationship because of the mistake. And that's fair. Like, you can forgive people, you can give people grace, but that doesn't mean that you forget. You don't ever forget. And maybe you can't forget and you can't deal with it. If he has a history of this, I can understand her having reservations. But if she's never seen this before and it's never really been an issue, I don't know. You might want to give him a little bit of grace because he is saying, yo, whatever you want, it doesn't matter to me. My love for you means more. I was tripping. Like, I was tripping. This money thing caught me off guard. I didn't know you had bread like that, baby. When I was talking about my Ferrari, you could have done that as a birthday gift. I know you trying to hold it tight, but you know how much I wanted that Ferrari. But it's all good. You know what I'm saying? I might ask you for the Ferrari later on. I might, but I put in something on it. It just, if it's an isolated incident, maybe you give them pass, maybe you don't, because sometimes people can wild out so much so, even though it's an isolated incident where you just decide, you know what, you cross a line that I just can't deal with. So I gotta let you go forever. No matter how sorry they are, no matter how out of character they were. Sometimes people cross the line and they can't come back from it. And maybe for her, seems like for her, she's having a really difficult time getting past this. And look, if you're having a difficult time getting past that, then you damn sure shouldn't marry. I don't know if you should break up. Maybe you should postpone their engagement. That would be my rationale. But she's got one more part. So let's hear what she's got to say.
Hey guys, this is my final decision. I took some time away to think, talked to my sister, my therapist, and my lawyers, and I've made my decision. As much as I cared for Tom, I realized I can't marry someone I don't trust. What happened broke that trust. And I know it would always be in the back of my mind in our marriage. Every financial decision, I doubt him. And that's no way to build a future. A few days ago, I asked him over and told him my decision. He admitted he messed up and wanted to try couples counseling. But I told him we're broken up. I agreed to counseling only as a way to see if reconciliation is possible someday. But truthfully, I feel like I'm just delaying the inevitable. I'd already packed his things. And he was hurt when he saw them. That was heartbreaking. Honestly, I felt really bad. But I knew I had to stand firm. He left with his things and is getting a new place. This has been heartbreaking and draining, but I know it's the right choice. Thank you again for the advice and encouragement. It really helped me get here. For those who worried about me making him homeless, don't. He makes good money, and we live in a tourist city. Before moving in with me, he lived in hotels and short-term rentals for months. He hasn't paid rent here for 6 months. He'll be fine. He's not ending up on the streets.
First of all, he sounded like he was a homosexual. It seemed like he needed a place to stay. If you go all the way back to the first part when she was just like all he did was pay for groceries. Like he didn't have a place of his own when they met. That should have been red flag number one. And now hearing that, maybe she's right to protect her peace. At first, I was like, man, this is cold. You already had his stuff packed up already. And that's cold. But after hearing basically he was a homosexual, I can understand it. Look, money and marriage is important. You need to have these type of conversations before you get married. You need to have parameters and boundaries set before you get married. Don't not have the conversations because you're scared to have the conversation. If you're scared to have real conversations before you get married, do not get married because you ain't ready. And so, she felt like this was a deal breaker for her. And she still said, we're going to try to work things out, but we need to be separate. And maybe they will. I'm going to put a little comment in there and be like, hey, keep me up to date because I'm messy and I need to know what's going on. I'm like Marvin Gaye. I want to know what's going on. But yeah, she made that decision. And I don't necessarily disagree with it. The fact that she's still giving it a little bit of a chance for therapy, because maybe in therapy she'll see there'll be some other deep-rooted issues, and maybe he has insecurity about money. Maybe somebody tried to get him for his money back in the day. There could be a whole host of stuff that they probably should have had a conversation about, or should have came up over the 2 years that they were dating but didn't. But anyway, so I thought that was interesting. I don't know. Guys, you let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section and tell me, what would you do if you were her? What would you do if you were him? Do you think she made the right decision? Do you think she didn't make the right decision? I'm going to just say she made the right decision for her. And when you make the right decision for you, I always think that's the right decision. That's my 2 cents. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a snippet of our After Hours Uncensored. Just to let you guys know, we talked about it a little bit. We have a YouTube membership. If you enjoy the show with me and my sister, the YouTube exclusives, you're going to enjoy the After Hours. And like I said before, when we introduced the memberships, we're going to start live streaming. That'll be exclusive to the members. I'm going to call one of them. I haven't come up with a good name yet, but it'll be like Sunday Fun Day with Bruce, where you guys see my Sunday Fun Day routine for about an hour, how I prep my meals, how I hang out, how I get started to have my relaxing day. I'll answer questions. There'll be a chat. There's a whole bunch of other stuff behind the scenes for the show, behind the scenes for After Hours Uncensored, my messy segment, which is for the VIP people, where I it's a 10 to 15-minute show where I just get real messy and tell y'all about my personal life, sometimes about other people's personal lives that I can't put on the main show. So this is an excerpt of After Hours Uncensored that aired yesterday. So you could go on our YouTube page or our Patreon. You can go on our YouTube page, which is what I recommend because the majority of the stuff, the behind the scenes content is all for YouTube members. And then join. And if you don't know how to join, don't worry. I'm going to put a link in the description, and there's a link on the YouTube page of this video. All you have to do is click join. It'll take you directly to the link where you can decide which tier that you want. And in each tier, it tells you exactly what you get. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is an excerpt After Hours Uncensored. Parental discretion is advised. But for fact of the matter is, from here on out, now that I know what type of cuss words that we can say on the show, parental discretion is advised for every single show. It doesn't matter if it's After Hours. It doesn't matter if it's the main show. We cuss a little bit more on After Hours. We talk a little bit more wild on the After Hours. But we're going to be saying some cuss words on the main show more so than we used to back in the day. But here it is, the excerpt of After Hours Uncensored, released on September the 22nd, 2025. All right, we in the motherfucking After Hours. This is one thing I got to do, Jay.
You just said we can't say MFer.
Well,
I'm we're in the After Hours.
Yeah, we in the After Hours.
But you're going to clip this, so that's why I thought we weren't.
Maybe I can say motherfucker. We can say it like once or twice. We can't just... And actually, I need to do some more research to find out exactly. But what I do need for you to do is I'm grateful that you plugged in your battery. But can you turn off some of the programs you got running in the background?
I don't really have anything on. Let me take a look here, because you've been clearing everything this whole time.
You have not, but maybe it's my internet. Who knows? This laptop is suspect. But I want to start off the After Hours, which is being clipped to be put on my show as kind of a teaser. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be doing that. We're going to give you a teaser of the After Hours every week. I don't know which day it's going to post, but it's going to be a 4 to 5 minute clip of the show to give y'all a little taste, because we want you to sign up for that membership, because there's a lot of content in that membership and it don't cost that much. All right. Right. It's $2.99, $4.99, and if you really want to get into it, $9.99. But I wouldn't even recommend getting the $9.99 to start off with, because I haven't even started doing the live streaming yet, because I don't have the equipment to do it yet. So don't get the $9.99, but the $4.99 or even the $2.99. Yeah, even the $2.99.
We cool. We are cool with either one.
Either one, help us out. But I found these memes. And it's the worst family secrets that people have accidentally found out. And it's a bunch of them, but I'm not going to read all of them.
I know it's probably some shenanigans.
Oh, it is absolutely some shenanigans. And some of them are kind of depressing, so I'm not going to read them. Oh. But some...
Yeah, just read the good ones.
Well, not good ones. There's one in particular that I got to read because I'm just like, what the hell? But, okay. Here's one. My great-grandmother wasn't actually my great-grandmother. She was kidnapped. My grandmother, when she was younger, and just made everyone think that she was her daughter. She is a secret family somewhere. So my great-grandmother wasn't actually my great-grandmother. She was kidnapped.
She kidnapped this person's grandmother.
Yeah, she kidnapped my grandmother when she was younger.
And just raised her as her own.
Yep. That's a family secret that you find out. And you know what? A lot of these people were like, we did that 23andMe or whatever it is, and we found out, wait a minute, you ain't my daddy. You ain't the pappy. You ain't the mammy. You ain't my grandmother.
Because it will definitely tell you with a high degree of accuracy. Like, it told me I have 50% connection to my mom. I'm like, oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's my mama. Like, it says 50%. So, like, it's pretty accurate. So, if that percentage, if the math ain't mathing, people got some questions to answer.
My thing is, wow, what do you think of Well, obviously, this person wouldn't even know their great grandmother because most people don't meet their great grandparents. Most people we have,
We did. Yeah.
but I don't think most people meet their great grandparents.
You probably not.
So
Yeah.
they got to be thinking, yo, you was kidnapped? Grandma, you was
Right.
kidnapped and
Right.
raised somebody's daughter? There's and then this person's
There's
like, I
a
literally
whole
have a family
out there.
Yeah, there's a whole family out there. And then, like, what did that family do when they realized their little daughter was kidnapped?
It was gone, and they never
found her. Back
Like,
in the day, you could never find
you
somebody.
you can live on the next street and be lost forever.
Next street.
Listen, everything was very closed off. Like, you know, we didn't have the internet. There weren't these ways of instant communication. Nobody was sharing their location on their cell phones. Like, that wasn't a thing, right?
Mhm.
Muggs was in the time of her great grandmother and grandmother, and that time people was writing letters. Maybe your house had a phone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you're right.
yeah, you could literally be one town over, and they'd be like, "Hey, your Uncle Jimmy gone. We don't know where he was." And he literally the town over. He just stopped contacting folks and didn't tell nobody.
So once again, this is the worst family secrets that people found out. Speaking of ancestry, did an ancestry, and my dad isn't my grandma's son. He's actually my aunt's child when she was 14. He doesn't know. He loves my grandma. She's 95. I'm gonna let him live in peace.
Yeah. Some secrets, it's like, okay, you don't have to. Yeah, just let that one go ahead and go. Like, if that person was raised by someone they thought was their parent, and they love and cherish that person, and that person loved and cherished them, then that was their parent.
But I feel like this was taken from a Tyler Perry, because didn't Tyler Perry have a movie with Madea? It was with Lil Bow Wow. Lil Bow Wow thought he was a sibling and found out at the dinner table that his older sister was actually his mama, and his mama was actually his grandmama.
I would have to take your word for it, because I ain't never
you ain't
seen a single nope.
Not a Tyler Perry. All right, here's another one. My great-grandfather left one of his kids out of his will. The siblings and children all divided their portions of the inheritance, so the other sibling wouldn't know that they were deliberately left out.
I think that's beautiful.
That is beautiful, but also, goddamn, great-grandfather. Like, what type of...
No, you gotta... Listen, the people in them times, they had favorites. And they were like, we didn't understand, like, psychologically how you should just not have favorites like that. But I mean, think of how many movies there are about people trying to secure their place in a will.
Yeah, that's true.
Or get, like, so because they've been written out, or they, been excommunicated from the family or something like that. So, like, I think it's awesome though that the siblings got together and was like, look, y'all, let's take a piece of everything. We all say we got this much instead of this much, so that they don't know they got left out.
That's some shit the three of us would do if one of our parents left us out of will, or our parents would. No, I don't think our parents would ever do something like that.
Yeah,
I don't think so. But we'd be like, no, we got to cut them in a little bit. This is cold-blooded.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it depends.
This is interesting because I want to get your take if you found this out about me. Found out my piece of shit of a brother had a kid in high school and denied it was his. The kid reached out to me and I gave him my brother's number. And now I don't talk to my family because they were mad I did that. They said it was not my place.
I'm giving them your number. Not only that, I'm going out to meet this person. I'm gonna do a DNA test with them, and if it come back 25%, whatever the percentage should be, 12.5%, whatever the percentage should be that proves I'm your aunt, I'm driving them to your place unannounced, and we gonna stand there at the door, both of us with our arms crossed, and be like, you got some explaining to do. And if the family got a problem with that, my number has not changed, because I know you lying. I know you lying.
Oh, first of all, that's something
Nah.
that I would never.
It's something you would never do. Like
In
when
high
you just
school,
out it,
in high school,
but it would be when you became an adult,
yeah, I would have reached out.
you would have reached back.
Yeah.
You would have gone back and reached
And
out.
would have
In high
understood if the
school,
kid didn't want shit to do with me.
yeah, but it's like, but you would understand. I was a child when I found that out, and I responded to it like a child. But
Mhm.
now that I'm an adult, and I see, the importance of making sure you know who I am and letting you know that I'm open to a relationship with you, I don't think that's a problem.
No.
If it was me and I heard that, I would have been like, yeah, you were a kid.
Mhm.
And you made a decision a kid would make. So
Mhm.
I understand that. If somebody, I mean, it's kind of a little difficult because I'm a woman, but if some child came to me and be like, you're my mom, and I'm like, nah, you ain't mine. I don't know who you is, James. Like I can't really say that same thing. But nah. If
maybe
if
you
I already
got in a
knew,
car accident, had amnesia or something like that, and
maybe,
maybe.
but like if this person already know their brother's a piece of shit.
Yeah, they said
Okay.
piece of shit of a brother.
Right. So in their mind, they're like, yeah, this tracks. This tracks. Okay. Me, I would have been like, he doesn't know. He clearly doesn't know, because if he did know, he would have definitely found a way to reach out.
Unless I couldn't find him.
Unless you couldn't find him.
Couldn't find
but
him.
then that's also, a conversation, right? Like, but nah, I show up at your door. Like, look who I found.
Like, who the fuck is that? looking like my damn twin.
Right. And I got the DNA test with me and them framed. Here you go. You can go ahead and put that. It shows the correct percentage for me to be their aunt. That's the correct percentage.
I was like, you got another brother. Looking like me from 1996.
Exactly.
All right. This one I think is hilarious. I literally, when I read this, you know how you read memes, sometimes you just bust out laughing even though you're in public. Mm-hmm. I did this.
Yes.
So I was born in prison, didn't know until adulthood, but when I was a child, my uncle was singing Akon's convict music Alibi at me.
And they didn't have any idea why they're... First of all, your uncle wrong for that. That's funny.
That's hilarious. Convict music.
That's funny. But also, your uncle a jerk for that. Like, they're doing that while you a kid. Come on now. That's messed up. But yeah, right.
But the kid didn't. But the person didn't find out until they was an adult. So it was the
all
uncle's
this time,
inside joke.
They've been confused by this inside joke. Wholly confused that they were born in prison, and that's why it's convict music. I get it.
Boy, I'm telling you, if I knew the backstory, look, if I was the uncle and I knew the backstory, if I was a friend of the uncle and I knew the backstory, every time he said that, I would die laughing.
I don't know that I could, because I would be looking at this child that would be so confused as to like what the hell we're talking about.
But hold on, when he's growing up, he's a teenager, I just want to let everybody know I ain't never been to jail. It's like, and then you got his uncle. You were born in the jail. Talking like David. He's like, I was born in the darkness. You were born
to jail, but you've been to prison.
You were born in the prison. All right, this was a little long, but I think this is funny. All right.
Okay.
My family urgently and very quickly moved from Minnesota to New York in 2012. Never knew why until a year or two ago when I found out my mother wrote an extremely homophobic article and was getting torn up online real bad. Reddit doxed her and people made threats and sent death wishes, which is why we moved. People made comments about me and my siblings like, I hope they turn out gay. 4 out of 5 of us are, in fact, a part of the LGBTQ plus community.
I wonder what their relationship is with their mom.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that. I just wanted to give you guys a little taste of After Hours Uncensored. Once again, join our membership on the YouTube. There's so many After Hours Uncensored. So many. I mean, we've done probably almost 100 shows, and Talking Straight-ish, when I was doing that show, all that stuff on our membership page. The behind the scenes of when we record the main show and the After Hours Uncensored membership page. Check it out. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, means that government can't interfere. I don't care what side of the aisle that you're on. This administration is interfering with your free speech. And nobody cares about what's happening until it happens to them. And if you think that these type of things won't happen to you, we've all had relationships with friends, family, romantic, what have you, where they do certain things to other people, but they don't really do them to us. So we say, well, we're the exception until we're not. And then you realize that was the person all along. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for watching. And until next time, as always, I'll holla. Woo! That was a hell of a show. Thank you for rocking with us here on Unsolicited Perspectives with Bruce Anthony. Now, before you go, don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share our podcast wherever you're listening or watching it to it. Pass it along to your friends. If you enjoy it, that means the people that you rock will enjoy it also. So share the wealth, share the knowledge, share the noise. And for all those people that say, well, I don't have a YouTube. If you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can actually watch our video podcast and YouTube exclusive content. But the real party is on our Patreon page, After Hours Uncensored and Talking Straight-ish. After Hours Uncensored is another show with my sister. And once again, the key word there is uncensored. Those are exclusively on our Patreon page. Jump onto our website at unsolicitedperspectives.com for all things us. That's where you can get all of our audio, video, our blogs, and even buy our merch. And if you really feel generous and want to help us out, you can donate on our donations page. Donations go strictly to improving our software and hardware so we can keep giving you guys good content that you can clearly listen to and that you can clearly see. So any donation would be appreciative. Most importantly, I want to say thank you for listening and watching and supporting us. And I'll catch you next time. Audi 5000. Peace.